All right, everyone, please take your seats. We've got a special panel now. It's entitled Private Equity and the IPO Season. We've got three guests. First, as CEO of iTrustCapital, Kevin Maloney works closely with the boards of directors and his executive team to define the vision, culture, and strategic direction of their award-winning best-in-class Fintech software platform designed to service self-directed crypto IRAs. Please welcome to the stage, Kevin Maloney. Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, well, thanks for having me.
Next up, Chief Executive Officer of Linqto, Joe Endoso. Prior to Linqto, Joe was CFO at OTCXN Incorporated, a San Francisco-based venture-funded fintech company utilizing blockchain technology to provide institutional-grade electronic trading infrastructure that eliminates counterparty and settlement risk. Please welcome to the stage, Joe Endoso. Next up, Jason Cozens. Jason is the founder and CEO of Glint, a game-changing organization that has transformed gold into an everyday electronic currency with the Glint app and MasterCard. Please welcome to the stage, Jason Cozens. What's up, buddy? Well, first, we'd love to see a show of hands. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see, but who in the audience has a Linqto account? All right, and who in the audience has a Glint account? And who in the audience has an iTrustCapital account? Appreciate the numbers. Thank you very much. All right, Joe, I'd love to start with you. And please talk about where the IPO market is, and maybe for those in the crowd who are new to this, how this asset class fits into an overall wealth management strategy.
It's a good question and one that gets asked of us a lot, principally by people that come from the investment management business and less by regular individuals like those of us in this room. And what I tell regular folks like those of us in this room is that it's as important a question for us to answer as it is for professional money managers. Because at the end of the day, asset allocation is what determines the overall return of your wealth, of your investment portfolio. So let me give you a benchmark, and that is, if you look today at the institutional investing world, and you looked at the largest pension funds, endowments, sovereign wealth funds, global family offices, basically the largest institutional investors in the world today, where do you think, or what percentage do you think of their total portfolio do they allocate today to alternative assets? Alternative assets are things like crypto, things like commodities, things like private equity, which is what Linqto is in. These two guys, by the way, represent those two other asset classes, crypto and gold, right? What do you think that percentage would be? Most individuals, if they thought about that, would probably wager that that number is somewhere between maybe 2 and 10%. I'll tell you that today, the reality is that the largest investment institutions in the world, on average, allocate 57% to alternatives. And all I'm saying is that that's not necessarily the right number for each and every one of you, because you've got to calibrate it according to your risk appetite, to where you are in your life stage, where you are in your wealth accumulation cycle. But the bottom line is, if you're at zero or close to zero, and the biggest, smartest money in the world is at 57%, you're doing something wrong, right? So the answer to the question is, think about that, figure out where you are, and think seriously about allocating significantly more to alternatives, because the smartest money in the world is doing precisely that in order to maximize portfolio returns.
Thank you, Joe. Excellent answer. Jason, over to you. It looked like about a third, maybe slightly less of the room have Glint accounts. But for those who are not familiar with Glint, please give us that overview. And I know you've got some exciting new news to share. So fire away.
Okay, so Glint is the first company in the world, if you don't know, to enable physical gold that you own to participate in electronic payments, to be made as everyday money with the Glint app and MasterCard. So you can buy as little as 1 cent's worth of gold or millions of dollars. You can, of course, save it. You can send it from one account to another if you're outside of the USA at the moment. And you can spend it anywhere in the world. I pay for my Ubers on the way here, my flights when I'm going around the United States. And those flights last month were a lot cheaper for me than they were everybody else because gold's doing so well. But I do have an amazing piece of news, something that's completely blown me away. I was wondering whether I should even say anything about it today. Joe said, you have to. Di was like, come on, you have not even told me yet, Jason. But what is it you're looking for? And what are we all looking for? Wouldn't it be amazing if we had an official authorized currency that was stable and independent? If we had that choice, that's what we really want to have. The amazing thing about this country is that you're not the United Provinces of America. You are the United States of America. And your founders must have been inspired by something much higher than earthly forces, because what they put in place was quite incredible. And you've got something hidden in your Constitution in plain sight, something which is really important for sound money. And I didn't know anything about it until August of last year, when I found out that Glint had been mentioned in the proceedings inside the Texas Senate, where they were discussing transactional gold legal tender. And they said, if we pass this legislation, we are going to need a platform like Glint. So I immediately got in touch with the guys and found, what's this all about? And they said, well, the US dollar is the currency of the United States, and only the federal government can declare something a currency. But in Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution, it reinforces that by saying that no state can make a currency except gold and silver. Your Constitution says that individual states in this country can make gold and silver legal tender. Now, some of them have passed laws in the past. In 2011, Utah did it, but they really weren't suitable for electronic transactional gold. And what Texas was doing was make the first mover in trying to get transactional gold legal tender bills in place. They've already passed the legislation around having a gold depository. They've built it. They should have passed their legislation around the transactional gold element last year, but they got themselves into a problem when they tried to impeach their treasurer, and all legislation was kind of put on hold. But it is going to happen next year in Q1. And I was really excited about this. And I said, well, how can I help? And they said, well, you can help because you can show legislators how easy it is to work. By Christmas, there were 25 states, 25 US states considering working on drafting, even passing laws to do with transactional gold legal tender. This is groundbreaking. This is going to send shockwaves around the world. Now, it's not done. It still needs to get done. But this, I've been touring the country, speaking to legislators, state treasurers. This is a real movement. It's a grassroots movement. Now it's being backed by certain institutions and corporates as well. And I'm privileged to be at the center of this. It is monumental what this means. You might say, well, if Glint already exists, why does the state need to get behind it? Because number one, it needs to protect your rights to be able to use gold and silver as money. And secondly, if it's a currency, if gold and silver is a currency, the IRS cannot tax it. Capital gains tax will have to fall away Can you imagine what happens when that happens? Is that what you want? So listen, it's amazing. I'm completely privileged. I mean, first of all, I was amazed when I came here last year and realized there's a whole army of people out there who I'm not working on my own. There's a whole army of people working towards sound money, both on the digital asset side and also on the gold and silver side. I was really privileged about that. Then I find out there's a whole movement and army of people who are trying to make this happen. And this is real. It's going to happen. And what we need you to do is get behind it as well. In the same way you got behind Ripple, the same way you got behind XRP, what we want to happen in Q1 is when these state legislators, it starts going through the House and the Senate committee meetings, we want you to bombard them with the messages and calls and things like that. You are so powerful. I've seen it happening. Over the last few months, I felt like I'm in a movie, which is the script, which is somewhere between the Band on Tour, House of Cards, and Succession. And it's been amazing. But this is just absolutely amazing. I'm really, really privileged to be at the heart of that.
That is amazing news, and I can't wait to track along with you and keep us updated.
Yeah, we'll do.
You can't exaggerate how groundbreaking that truly is.
Yeah.
Kevin, you've had an illustrious career. You've raised over $250 million in capital for various startups. You raised $130 million in Series A for iTrustCapital. Talk to us about your experience raising PE with iTrust.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, first of all, for having us here. Will, it's good to see you again, and everybody on the panel. Can you guys hear me okay? I can't see anything, but I think it's humbling, by the way, to be here, because the XRP Army is one of the key communities that actually allowed us to find the company and grow it. The XRP was an early supporter of iTrustCapital, and so it's awesome to see the community continue to grow and the information sharing that's going on here. It is also humbling raising capital, because it's mostly a lot of no's. And I've been involved with a multitude of startups, some spectacular failures, some of them break even, some of them you do okay. iTrustCapital, and I always say, by the way, I guarantee, and I don't guarantee much as a former compliance officer at PIMCO, but I guarantee I'm usually the least lucky entrepreneur in the room. You could name it or think of it, and it has happened over the years. But for the first time in my life, I had good timing. I mean, I met my wife, so that was good timing. But I had really good timing with iTrustCapital, and I was I was co-chairing a blockchain conference in Southern California back in 2019, and I connected with the company. My co-chair was a well-known blockchain attorney, and he walks in with iTrustCapital. And so I had watched them grow, and we kept in touch, and they said, hey, can you help us raise some capital? And they kept moving the goalpost. We want to raise 25, we want to raise 50, we want to raise $100 million. And every time the goalpost would be moving, and I'm thinking, that's going to be hard to make it through the uprights. But we had good timing. There were clients. XRP comprised a lot of the clients early on. There was clients engagement, there was revenue, and there was growth happening. And so the timing was really good. And I went out to 2,500 different groups on my database that I had built over 20 years and started pitching, communicating, emailing, calling. You know, I probably had 2,500 outreaches. We had email dialogue with, several dozen of those. And the numbers get small fast, right? You have meetings with maybe 6, second meetings with maybe 2. And we were fortunate enough to partner up with Left Lane out of Brooklyn, young group, but they had a $2 billion fund, and HarborVest. And they came on board. They moved quickly. Their growth equity, so not early stage venture. And the company had mitigated quite a bit of risk because we had proven the business model. And we had clients that were engaged in driving revenue and traction. But it was small and it was humbling. We went from 14,000 in revenue to a few million the next year in 20. And 21, we did 15, 16x over that. 22 and 23 obviously pulled back a little bit, but we were able to secure $130 million on our Series A, which was transformative. We didn't need the money, and this is the crazy thing about fundraising, is that there's basically 2 times you raise money, when you have to and you can. And of course we didn't need to, so we could. It's a chicken and the egg thing, and we were big and profitable, and that's when people throw more capital at you. But we thought it would be prudent to take some chips off the table, strengthen up the balance sheet, and really deploy capital responsibly into the markets from a marketing perspective. And so that's kind of the background. But I had raised a lot of capital for other startups, and they don't always work out, right? So, my job is really simple. All I have to do is figure out how to increase shareholder value, right? So as long as you're doing that, people are willing to back you and give you a shot. It doesn't always happen. It's tough. But anyways, yep, it's been a journey.
As a follow-up, as you look to raise eventually into a Series B, what differences do you anticipate?
Yeah, good question. Series B, it's always dependent on the market conditions. Like I said, we had great timing. We rode the wave. We were not first. We were not the best. We were duct taped together with Band-Aids and, a lot of strings behind the scenes in the early days. Now it feels, and it is, seamlessly integrated with a lot of great vendors that are some regulated, really good partners. Generally speaking, there's a lot of good alignment. Series B is something that we don't need. Again, we're fortunate enough to be profitable. We have a really strong balance sheet, but it's something that we would look at from a debt or equity perspective if we look to acquire some technologies, companies, clients, things like that. And we've had discussions with some really good groups out there about possibly aligning with them. So that's one reason we would raise a Series B and or some debt.
Nice. Joe, coming back to you. We announced earlier that Linqto intends to go public later this year.
Yes.
Would you like to explain to everyone what that's going to look like? Add some color commentary, please.
Yes, those of you who are Linqto customers already know, we announced, I think the 9th of May, our intent to go public via a merger with a listed SPAC that's called Blockchain Co-Investors Acquisition Corp. We're doing this transaction mostly to fulfill our responsibility as a management team at the company to our very earliest shareholders, right? Because Linqto is, you might also know, while we're relatively young in the private investing space, we didn't launch this platform until February of 2020. The company itself, Linqto as a corporate entity, has actually been around some 15 and a half years. So for most of that life, prior to becoming a private investment platform, it was doing a whole bunch of other unrelated stuff, but nonetheless, it has shareholders that have been shareholders since the very beginning of 10 or 15 or so years ago. And so those shareholders naturally are exhausted, they're looking for liquidity, and so we reckon that by going public through this merger, we can accelerate the process of listing and bring liquidity to those holders. The intent here, Will, isn't for Linqto to raise a big gob of capital now, because we've been running this company profitably and we've been generating a good level of cash flow internally since we launched. So there's no great need for capital right now. And there's no great need on the part of myself and the management team today to actually exit, right? We're not looking to dump our shares and retire. So this is entirely premised on just giving liquidity to our earlier shareholders and continuing our mission to continue growing Linqto, continue creating value for our shareholders, our customers, and our employees as a public company.
Jason, as the founder and CEO of a company, your company's raising capital right now on Linqto for anyone who's interested. What do you think about? How do you know as a CEO when the right time to IPO would be? What enters your mind?
Well, I think Glint is a little bit different from a lot of companies. We've got to protect the concept. We've got to protect the product. There's a lot of people who don't want it to happen, do they? We've put our crypto bridge with XRP on hold until the SEC, our friends over there, give us some clarity on what's going on. That's an example of how there are powers that be don't necessarily want things to happen. I was testifying at the Kansas Senate committee, and the banking lobbyists got up to try and kill what we were doing. Afterwards, I asked them, what did you know about this? And they said nothing. They were trying to kill something they knew nothing about. But 2 of their members had come up and said, hey, there's something going on with gold and silver legal tender. Just try and kill it. So you've got to be careful, I think, about when you go public. Certainly if you're a 0 to 1 business like Glint. For us, I think we've got to make sure that we're out of the micro-pivoting phase of the company, because there are sometimes you want to make changes. And in the public markets world, you're under scrutiny. For those people who are enemies, they can use shorting and other nefarious tactics to ruin you or create trouble with your share price. So what am I saying? Well, I just think that for us, we need to be really strong when we go into the IPO. And we're a regulated business, so we already have the disciplines around reporting and regulations, so I don't have any concerns there. You want to make sure that you've got your management team your senior leadership team have plenty of experience of being in public markets. And I think the valuation probably needs to be for us something like $500 million so that you can encourage the big pension funds and people like that to get involved in your business. If there's enough liquidity and movement in the stock, then it makes it harder for people to try and stop what you're trying to do. So they're the kind of things that I'm thinking of at the moment.
Makes sense. Kevin, can I ask you the same question?
Right now we're fortunate enough to have some options. So we're generating positive EBITDA cash flow. We're adding strength to the balance sheet every month. The markets have turned a little bit since Q4 last year. Feels like maybe a little bit of a pullback to wait and see over the next few months. But I do think our mantra has always been stay alive and thrive to 25, right? And we're alive, we're thriving, and I feel like we're doing the right thing for the clients, the base. I mean, for those of you that don't know, it's a software platform that allows you to invest into digital assets through your IRA with certain tax advantages. And that's resonating with a lot of working professionals across the states. Our demographics are 35 to 60-year-olds that aren't betting the farm. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket, but they are allocating what feels like 5 to 20%, maybe a little bit more of their portfolio into these digital assets. XRP is one of our top assets on our platform. Excuse me. We've been fortunate enough where we're not getting pressure from the private equity group to go public quickly. We are fully audited with PCAOB audit firm. 20 and 21 have been completed. We're in the middle of an audit on 22 and 23, so that we could do that quickly if we need to. Not a crystal ball at all, but to me it looks like there might be some consolidation happening in the marketplace over the next 24 months, and maybe there's a chance for us to take on some cheap debt or equity at a decent valuation that's not too dilutive so that we could acquire some assets. So we're going to keep the options open, but we're not getting the pressure, which is great. We don't have that pressure, and so I'm thankful for that.
Excellent.
Yep.
Joe, coming back to you. At Linqto, we talk about democratizing access to this particular asset class. It's an asset class that has historically been reserved for the venture capitalists and the elites. Tell me what it means to you to be doing what we do at Linqto.
That's a question that honestly I try to answer every day, because the mission at Linqto of democratizing access to this historically very exclusive asset class, it has a real personal resonance to me, right? Because the whole idea of democratization is really the idea of opening up opportunity to innovate, opportunity to create wealth for oneself and one's family, and to do so in areas and circumstances that may be difficult, if not completely closed off to most people. So to open things up in that way, to democratize, is to liberate human beings in a really fundamental and just life-changing way. And I think that me and the team at Linqto, we're very driven by this mission. It energizes us. I remember coming to the States when I was 18 as an immigrant. My folks had made the decision and spent a long time saving up and going through the process of, coming to the States as immigrants, which is not easy, right? There's a whole bunch of paperwork involved. There's stuff you got to go through. There are things you have to prepare. But they had a very, very clear idea of the value of becoming American, of having the opportunities that only our country offers to people like that. And they grabbed it when that opportunity was given them. And I'm thankful every day, because my life would be so radically different, honestly, if I hadn't had the chance to come here, be educated here, make a life here, alongside the rest of us Americans, right? That's so much part of our story. But that's also the DNA of Linqto, because Linqto is about that same story. It's about opening up opportunity. And I'm particularly proud to be on this stage with entrepreneurs like Jason and Kevin, who very much exemplify that same spirit. It's one reason why we've invested and backed these two companies, because we think that they've got a brilliant future ahead of them. They've got amazing CEOs as leaders, and we're looking to see them succeed in their IPO or whatever their liquidity event happens to be in the future, just as we do for ourselves. So I want to close by just thanking all of you for obviously being part of that vision of opening up opportunity, and hopefully for also investing in iTrustCap and Glint and in Linqto, who are exemplars of that opportunity story.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Both Kevin and Jason have sessions again tomorrow, so you'll get a chance to hear from them again. But gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for this session. I think it's been very rewarding. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.